Welcome to the Imperfect Dads podcast.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Devin.
We believe dads care deeply about their family and kids,
but they don't always have a space to discuss what their life looks like.
Our podcast is a space for dads to discuss the ups and downs of fatherhood.
And how they feel like they're holding it all together.
Or how they're not.
Thank you for joining us for this episode. On this episode, we have on Dane Poppin. Dane plays bass and has played with bands such as A Static Lullaby, Dashboard Confessional, Jessie Jane Decker, Caroline Jones, A Day to Remember, and currently he's on tour with the Fray. We talked about having a family calendar, going to shows but just for the headliners, how he ended up in Tennessee, how 2-year-olds really like to help around the house, protecting your kid's curious spirit, having a record collection when you have a little kid, beards and newborns, and staying connected with his family while on tour. A lot of this conversation was Dane talking about being appreciative and trying to encourage his son's spirit and being in tune with knowing everything moves quickly when you have kids. And also just like one more thing.
Dad, just start the episode.
Oh, my bad. First question I have for you, just because I always think this is funny to discuss. Whenever we are messaging back and forth about like when you could do a podcast, you're like, all right, man, here, we got it down. I got it on the family calendar. Do you live and die by your family calendar? Because I am now also in a phase of life in which the family calendar dictates my life.
Live and die is the perfect way to describe it. I'm useless when it comes to talking about the future as far as like what dates are available and what we're doing and when it's happening. My wife will be telling me, 3 Saturdays from now, we have from 2 to 5, we have like a birthday party. I'm like, you're going to have to probably remind me of that the day before because man, it's just every day is different for me. Every day is a new city, and days of the week really have no relevance to my schedule. It's like, It doesn't matter if it's a Tuesday or if it's a Saturday, like we're playing a show in Ohio or we're playing a show in California. It doesn't matter, Yes. And so I don't really need to be aware of what day it is to function. My wife does. It's different when it's a home base situation. And so we share a Google Calendar, and that has just been like so handy being able to like anytime an offer for a session or a show or just, a hang comes up, it's like, well, let me check and see what we got going on. Cause I can't tell you what I'm doing tomorrow, much less, next week or 2 weeks from now.
I'm going to show you guys something.
Okay. Do you have the wall calendar? You have one of those?
Whoa.
This right here. I don't know if you can kind of see it.
I can see
it. We can. It's very backlit, but no, we can see it.
But it is amazing, and it syncs with your phone with the other calendars.
What's it called? Is it the Skylight calendar?
No, this one's called the Hearth.
The Hearth. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Proper name,
Not the
too.
hearse. But
Not the Hearst.
Big
the
difference.
Hearth.
Send me a link. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds super helpful. Because we have like the old school analog, write it down calendar. But, dates will change all the time constantly. And so you're even to scratch it out and fill it in this little tiny hole. Google Calendar, lifesaver for sure.
We do Amazon Echo, which is like a little like tablet almost. And you can also do like we have it in our kitchen. Like, it's March Madness right now. So while I'm cooking or something like that, you can actually pull up like the Paramount Plus app and stuff like that.
There you go.
And it'll sync with your calendars. And actually like if you have to go to the airport or something like that and you put the destination in it, it'll give you like the time estimate of how long it'll take you to drive out there too.
Perfect.
So, yeah, it's the old, like literally if we don't have the family calendar, I feel like it just avoids so many fights with my wife of her being like, hey, when are we doing this? If I'm just like, hold on, let me pull up the family calendar. And if it's not on there, then I'm assuming I haven't scheduled it yet. And now I need to go figure that out.
I know. At some point, we kind of had to have like a come to Jesus moment. Like, do you just not care, or are you just really terrible with dates? And I was like, I cannot emphasize enough that I care and I am terrible with dates. Like, it's just, my brain goes to mush. And some guys can remember what venue they played in what city on what tour on what day, 5-6 years ago. And it's like, that is incredible because every day is different. Every day is a different city and a different venue. And every couple months you're with different bands that you play with all different names. And it's just like, it's just too much input. And like, I have to just pick and choose what my brain holds on to because
I was going to say, with you traveling to all different places without a family calendar, you'd be completely lost.
Oh yeah. Brutal.
How long have you been a touring musician for?
Going on 20 years.
Nice.
Yeah. My first official proper band that was on a record label that had tours was in 2006 is when I joined. So yeah,
Sweet.
coming in hot on 20 years.
Nice. But that also explains why if someone's like, hey, do you remember the show? And you're like, I played 100 shows that year. So, sure.
Yeah. And you know, what's funny too, is like, there's really, other than like the tour laminate that's got the dates on it, there's no proof that I ever even did the tour. You know, like
Yeah.
if you go through the internet archives, you could maybe find a tour announcement on absolutepunk.net or some sort of music website.
Yeah.
But like, other than those couple things, like, yeah, I mean, that tour might as well never happened, you know?
You're just going to setlist.fm and you're like, I was here. Like, that's it.
I've
Dane was here.
literally had to do that. We've talked about like, what did we play? What songs did we play on that show? I'm like, yeah. Good luck trying to remember.
Yeah.
So like setlist.fm, thank God someone has recorded that.
Justin, have you ever hit up setlist.fm?
What is?
Okay, well, I mean, so like, let's say one of your favorite bands is going on tour and you really want to know, like, how deep are they going in their catalog? Like, are they just doing their new album or is it the entire catalog? You can go to setlist.fm, which is really hard to say for some reason, and people will upload the set list to that website. So you can kind of get an idea of what songs they're playing through and like what you can expect for it.
All right.
Yeah, it's been a crucial device, especially nowadays when I'm like, I'm too old to be standing for 3 hours watching a bunch of, opening acts, and no disrespect to opening acts. Like, it's a great way to get out there and get your music heard. But I 100% go on setlist.fm and screenshot from the night before. Yep. And I'm sitting there watching the band. I'm like, okay, they just played that. Okay, this next song I don't know. Perfect time to go get a beer. Perfect time to go pee. And then like, okay, we're nearing the end of the show. I really don't care about that very last song, so maybe we go now and beat traffic. It's just like, I'm just a planner, and so that it's been so handy for that.
I do that all the time too. My wife will usually fall asleep on the couch like 9 to 9:30 or something like that. So I'll look at set list and be like, okay, cool. The band I want to see looks like they're going to go on about 9:30 or so. So if I leave our house around 8:30ish, kids are already kind of settled where they are and everything. I'll go for them. I'll hear the songs I want to hear. Then I'll head out, which is so funny because in my 20s, I'd be like, how many openers do they have? I want to go for all the openers. My entire night is now this concert.
Yeah. And online, it can be pretty vague about like what time the show actually starts, how many openers are, how long they play for. So at any given time, if I'm going to a show where I have like maybe like a friend that's on the tour or working for the band or whatever, if it's at all possible for them to take a picture of like the day sheet, which is very detailed time breakdowns of everything, I'm like, please send me the day sheet because I gotta know like what time is the ideal time to show up.
Why is it so vague for the audience and then detailed for the musicians? I can only
assume it's because they want just people to show up early and like buy more alcohol, see all the bands, fill up quick, all that stuff, So I think they maybe purposely leave it vague because otherwise people are like, I only care about one of these bands and I'm going to show up exactly when they start, and like me, they don't want a bunch of me's going to the show and ruining the good time.
I feel like it depends on also size of venue. I feel like if it's like an arena tour or something like that, like if you're playing Bridgestone, I feel like that's pretty like regimented of like when people go on. But if it's like exit in, I was always like, all right, it says 8. Maybe that's Doors. Maybe that's the first band.
Maybe it's a
headliner. I will find out whenever I get there.
Who knows? Just kind of it's the Wild West,
It is. Yes. How'd you end up in Nashville, or how long have you lived in Nashville area for?
Well, my wife is from here, and so we got married in 2014 and moved to Nashville. She's from Chattanooga originally, and moving to Nashville for us was never like a career move. Even in like 2014, Nashville wasn't anything like the city it is now. As far as like, it's basically a production town. It's kind of like another LA or another New York type of thing. At the time, I was already, in a full-time touring band. I had no interest in working in Nashville, like as a musician. I just kind of was like, well, you're from Tennessee. You've got family here. My family, I'm from Alaska originally. And so, my whole family still lives in Alaska. So it's just like, well, let's move somewhere where we're close to some sort of family, which is, my wife's family. And they're amazing. My in-laws are really, I hit the lottery with my in-laws. They're the coolest people in the world. And so we just want to live close to them. So Nashville kind of made sense. It was like, it is a music city. So that's kind of cool vibe, I guess. And it's growing. And then we moved here and it became what it is. And it's been great for my career. It really worked out. It was kind of just like a happy accident.
Yeah.
How did you go from Alaska to Tennessee?
Great question. Yeah.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah. Oh, well, when I always kind of from a pretty early age, I knew that I wanted to do music, and that was really the only thing I was interested in. And I was in a local band in my little hometown that was doing pretty well. And they were all older guys. They were like in the early 20s. I was 16 when we started. And then, when I turned 18, I was graduating. It was like, okay, what's the next move here? They wanted to like pick the band up and move to Las Vegas and try to become like a successful band. And my parents were just like, I get it. That sounds fun, but no, like that's probably not the right move. And basically they were just like, if you want to do music for a living, you should probably try and stack the deck and like at least go to a school where you can learn more and become a better musician, become a better player. So I moved to Boston and did a couple years at school there for music. And that was when I got an offer to join a band that was in California. It was a band called A Static Lullaby. They were like a metal kind of screamo rock band, and they were on a label and they were going on tour. And I had already heard of them. They had a couple records out already. And I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. Like, I just want to get in a van and go play rock music. So I auditioned for them, got the gig, moved across the US to California. And then, what's nice about touring is you can kind of just like get a pretty good idea of the vibe of the entire United States. Like you spend a day in every single major city and kind of experience it, eat the food, meet the people, kind of walk around, be a tourist. And so I had the unique position of kind of like being able to do like a walkthrough of every city and be like, okay, where do I want to live? Like, where's a cool place? What do I always enjoy going to? And from California, it was Portland, Oregon. And I was just like, I always loved Portland, and it's kind of Alaska-ish, it's Alaska adjacent. A lot of people from Alaska move there for some reason, just because it's maybe like the closest state you can get to from Alaska.
Yeah.
And so it's there. And then I met my wife on tour. We had mutual friends that like set us up, and she came out to a Warped Tour date that I was on Warped Tour, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, she didn't come till the end of the night, and she didn't have any interest in any of the bands that I play for or any of the bands I work with. And I was like, that sounds amazing. I don't want to date a fan,
Yeah.
And we had all the same interests aside from music. And so, we were doing the long distance thing for the longest time. And I was like, this sucks. I'm going to move to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Seems like a logical next move. I'm already like, as a touring musician, I never really need to be in one specific place for my job. There's not one specific place that's best suited for my job. It's just like it needs to have an airport nearby. And so, Tennessee, I kind of like sight unseen. I was like, I had been here once to visit her, but I was just like, there's nothing for me in Portland, really. I'm just living here, hanging out and in between tours. So, so made the trek there.
And I think also that's like, I'm not sure on timelines exactly. I'm a pretty big music nerd, if you can't tell. But I feel like around that time is also when like all the guys that were on like Vagrant Records, like the Rich Egan, like Chris Carrabba, and all those guys started to move to like the greater Nashville area also. So that the scene you were in also started to move to the greater Nashville area around the same time.
Fully unbeknownst to me, I really didn't know anything about Nashville and what it was becoming. I really honestly had no clue. And
that worked out well.
Yeah, it worked out. And it's funny you mentioned Chris Carrabba, because like within the first month of me living here, I met Chris, and I had played a show with a mutual friend of his. The two of us did like an acoustic duo, and I was playing acoustic bass, and we opened for one of Chris's bands. And after the show, he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I'm Chris. I loved your playing. We should make music together sometime."
That's so cool.
And literally from there, like I immediately started playing with him and started touring with Dashboard Confessional, and like I never even had to like try and find a job here, it's just, or
that's awesome.
Trying to find work in town. It's just like, it really was like, cosmic connection, timing, and all just worked out. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
I've always assumed that's got to be one of the greatest stressors and excitements of being a musician is like, you do play a gig and you're like, I just know I'm here to play the gig, going to do my best, going to have a good time. And whoever's in the audience and likes it, hope it connects, and we'll see what happens next.
Yeah. I mean, you've probably heard this before, but like, you know, at least 50% of having a successful career is luck and just like
Yeah.
right place, right time,
Yep.
you know, and all you can do is put your best foot forward and try to be the best musician and best person you can be and be a
Yep.
decent hang. And like, maybe there's someone in the room who's watching you play and needs a bass player, you know, or needs,
Yep.
needs someone involved, even if it's not even a musician, if it's like someone who works in music, like a sound guy or like a
Yeah.
tour manager, like, you're like, hey, I really love the way this guy handled our interactions. He was very professional, killed it, great at his job, and we need a guy. Hey, next month we got this major tour coming up. We need a guy. It's kind of like, you know, the last person that you meet is the first person you think of when you hear of someone needing like a drummer or, you know, a bass player. Like you go back in your mind, you're like, okay, so who have I enjoyed working with? Well, I just met and worked with this guy last week and he was great. So like, let's just start there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of it is
It
just
sounds like
connections.
building those connections and building those relationships can really help out down
And
the road.
and it's ironically, it's something I hate doing. Like I'm very much an introvert. I don't really love going out to bars or shows and trying to get chatty and network. And, you know, if a lot of it feels really fake and I can see that in other people as they're trying to do that, they just turn it on. They're like, oh, killer show. You guys killed it. Amazing. Oh, the best thing I've ever heard. Is like, come on. That is not genuine. And especially in Nashville, like every show is great. Every musician is great. Everyone
Is
kills
insane.
it.
Yes.
So that is just like such a small factor in what gets you a job. And so I kind of, like I said, I just strive to just do my best and put in the work and be even keeled and don't rock the boat, you know, and hopefully the good stuff comes your way.
I'm more prone if I like a friend of ours, Ron Ortiz II, just played a show out here in Boulder. And like whenever talking to him, I wasn't like, great set, you're awesome. Just like, hey man, just play a set. How you feeling? Like, how's your energy? Like, are you amped from it and stuff like that? Because if I sit there and I'm like, you're so phenomenal at guitar, which he is, like, it's hard for me to trust that he'll like believe me because it's just different.
Yeah,
you know?
everyone likes hearing that they did a great job, and you know, I'm not trying to downplay like positive reinforcement and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's all helpful and great to hear, but
yes,
in the right context, you know, and
It's got to be genuine.
time and place. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's like similar, like, if I watched the kid, like whenever my wife was out of town and I watched all 3 kids and she's like, thanks for watching the kids. You did a great job. After reminding myself, like, she's trying to be appreciative of what you just did, as opposed to being like, yeah, I'm a stay-at-home parent. Like, this is my job. Like, it's hard to detach like myself from like, this is my job. This is what I'm supposed to be good at this. Like, you know, so.
Yeah. It's always helpful to hear, you know, especially with your partner, your spouse or whoever, like, you know, even if it can technically go unsaid, it's like, it helps to be like, hey,
it's not bad.
I appreciate you. You killed it today. Great work. I know he was a handful.
Yeah.
And you kept your head and didn't freak out. And it's so easy, you know, it's so easy to get overstressed and overstimulated, overtouched by your kid.
Yes.
Especially right now, my son is, you know, 2 going on 3. And all he wants to do is just like be in the room with you and do what you're doing and hug on you and crawl all over you and stuff. And it's just like, you got to remind yourself that like, this is just a season. He's just like, you know, it's never going to be the same. It's always going to change, and, you know, just try to be the best you can in that season.
So Jess and I both have 3-year-olds. I have a 9, 7, and a 3-year-old. And my 3-year-old is very much like he wants to be helpful. I'm doing that with quotation marks. Where like this unload the dishwasher, and he's like, I want to help. And I'm like, all right, man, take a breath, be more patient, because you're teaching him that he's part of the family and your efficiency does not matter. Have you had moments like that yet?
Truly, yeah. I mean, the dishwasher was a big one, even like early on. So my son he's been in the 99th percentile for size and weight ever since he was born. So he's just been like a huge kid, and not even like a round child. He's just very tall. My whole family's tall. My in-laws are tall. Everyone's tall. So, you know, he's going to be a giant. And so he's already like from a pretty early age, he could reach like the top rack in the dishwasher and like fully palm like a glass or a bowl and just like pick it up.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is happening. And like, it's very likely. It's funny because people say that all the time, you know, oh, he's going to play football. He's going to do sports. I love the fact that he is, you know, going to be able to do those things. And if he wants to do them and he has a desire and a proclivity towards it, absolutely. But I also I see middle schoolers out there wearing knee braces and like just getting really like a lot of injuries. And, my wife grew up cheerleading and she got like 2 major concussions cheerleading. And it's just like, yeah, it's just like, getting
All on her
tossed.
head?
Yeah. Getting tossed around, getting dropped and getting, a lot of jumping, a lot of full contact. And it's just like, some of these injuries are going to follow
Yeah,
you the rest of your life.
football is definitely a a sport that it's not for everybody, for sure.
True enough. And I get it. It's fun. It's activity. It's team building. It's like, it's great to get out and have exercise and stuff. But like, yeah, we have no desire in pushing him towards sports. I mean, if my wife had her way, he'd be a little theater kid, like a little drama club theater kid, because she loves Broadway and he loves music and loves, the arts, basically. So we're kind of just like adopting the mentality of presenting him with all these options, and whatever he leans into, we'll support, and try to do our best to keep up. But yeah, he's already just physically, he's able to do so much that we have no option but to just teach him how to do it right. And kind of roll with it. It's like, we don't want to shut down his desire to help and like learn and pick things up. And what's this? Oh, this is cool. And it's like, this is a guitar. You can strum on it. Here's a guitar pick. Here's how you do it. Please don't bash on it. Please don't jump on it, but I'm always going to have guitars sitting out. And so I might as well just teach him how to respect it and do it properly, rather than like hide it away or, pretend like it's not there, or get angry at him for being interested in it.
I don't have guitars, but I have a lot of tools and equipment around because I'm always doing stuff around the house.
Yeah.
And Ada, my 3-year-old little girl, she always wants to help. So I bought her a little play tool set that has a battery powered drill, some screwdrivers, some wrenches and everything like that. So she can actually like help me adjacent, if that makes sense. Makes sense. And she loves it. And she'll just want to every once in a while, let's play with tools. Like, all right,
that's cool.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, we're the exact same place right now. We just got him a little Black & Decker plastic toolkit with a saw and a hammer. And he had this little wood hammer that came with a toy set of his, but he wants to just, use the hammer on things. And he, after like 2 holes ended up in our wall, we're just like, okay, we got to like get a plastic version. And like, we do our best to like, buddy, we don't hit walls. We don't hit, fragile things, but like, he's 2. So like,
he's 2.
He's just like, I love it. This hammer. It's just the coolest thing in the world. I'm going to start working on stuff. And so, yeah, we had to adopt a plastic mentality when it came to stuff that can be hit,
It's so funny because like, I don't think I anticipate, because like around 2 or 2.5, they get enough independence to do stuff on their own. And you have to be so intentional about like, I want to encourage you to do things, but also please don't damage or break things as you do it. And to already realize that like at 2.5, you can discourage and break your kid's spirit is something I know I didn't anticipate whenever I started having kids.
Yeah. A big thing my wife says, where she had said it to me at one point, and the first time she said it to me, I literally like teared up because I never considered it this way. But like, these kids, they have this little light inside them. It's like a little candle, and it's early on, it's very susceptible to getting blown around and blown out and discouraged. And like, our job as parents is just like protecting that light and making sure it can grow and grow in safe ways, so we don't catch things on fire with that light. But we don't want to put it out too, and so we have to just like kind of learn and grow and teach them. I mean, I was on tour recently and my wife FaceTimed me, and I was like, okay, this is random. It's like, she doesn't usually FaceTime me around this time of day or, with their routine going on. And basically I opened it up and on the phone was just like, she was showing me our TV and there was a hole in the TV and it was like doing the thing where you can see the LED, the colors are going up and there's like streaks in it. And he had thrown a Hot Wheels into it. Like he threw a metal Hot Wheels car and there was just a big hole in the TV now. And it was a complete accident. He was just like, he just had one of those, zoomy moments where he was holding a Hot Wheel and he started like being a kid and just like threw the thing and it went across the room and it hit the TV, destroyed the TV. And in that moment, I was just like, well, I could get really angry because that was like a $2,000 TV. And I did all the research to find the right one because I love playing video games and watching movies on it. So like, it was not a cheap one. but he didn't mean to do it. And he wasn't like freaking out or throwing a tantrum and throwing it. He was just being a happy kid.
Just
and,
playing. Yeah.
And so as soon as I got home, I went straight to Costco and bought the cheapest TV I could find, because like it might happen again, for at least this next year or so, I can deal with $300 TV and maybe get a nice one when he's not throwing Hot Wheels.
I feel the same way about like cars, where it's like I'm not like I don't have high car standards, but like you go to straight functionality, because it's like, oh, I want to buy a new car, I want all this fancy features. I'm like, Devin, you're gonna have 3 kids in that back seat. They're gonna destroy that car every single time they get inside of it.
Yeah.
So like you look at parenting and you're like, if I do this, I'm going to be consistently angry or protective of it, and that's not a good environment for my kid. So just be real about it. Can you afford? Would you want the $2,000 TV? Of course. Does it make any sense right now? It doesn't.
Yeah. Want to be the dad that's constantly saying, "Don't do that.
Don't be like, just stay away from that TV. Get away from that TV."
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah. We've got like I said, it's a season. We've got 4 or 5 years of chaos,
Absolutely.
where it's just like really hard to wrangle them in. You're always teaching. You're always, working on avoiding certain things. And after that time period is done, that's the time that we can get the nice car. That's the time we can get the TV. That's the time I can get the record player back out and have it on his level, and we have just a whole wall of vinyl, and like a big thing early on was just like, hey, please don't pull these out because they're fragile, and some of them are really valuable. Same with the turntable. Like it's a decent enough turntable, and those things are fragile. Like one little grubby hand grabs that tone arm, you rip it right off.
Yep. Or touching the stylus. I feel like my kids want to do like, what's this needle thing? I'm like, no, don't.
Kind of the most important thing of the entire turntable.
It's fine. I didn't research that at all. Don't worry.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was a big thing. I'm a natural researcher. So if I'm going to like invest in a turntable, invest in a TV, invest in an instrument or a piece of gear, I'll spend like a week doing shootouts online on YouTube and stuff, figuring out which one makes the most sense, which is going to be the best, for certain applications. And so, to have that sitting out in the hand, it could be destroyed in a second.
Yep.
So right now the turntable is underneath the entertainment center, taped shut. So it's just like maybe for a year or so we don't get to listen to vinyl records.
Yes,
it's all part of it.
We our vinyl. My son will sometimes think that they're books, so he'll walk up to them and grab them out. And he's 3.5, so he's it's crazy that extra year makes that much of a difference. Of like at 3.5, he's gentle enough when he pulls them out that I know he's not going to throw it on the ground.
Right.
But it's funny to also try to teach your kid, like, no, these are records. These aren't books. Be careful with. Like, he doesn't understand. He just sees something that's pretty and he wants to play with it.
Can't blame someone for that,
No, not at all.
Devin, is Josh showing interest in anything in particular yet?
He is now at the age where he very much like when he does something, he doesn't want anyone to watch him or say good job. Yeah. So he's fully potty trained, and this is just a hilarious thing. Whenever he's done going pee, he will walk out with his pants around his ankles and be like, "Will you not say good job if I pull up my pants?" And I'm like, "Does that mean you'll pull up your pants on your own?" He's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "I will not look at you and say good job." So he's like, got the independence, but also it's just hilarious because you'll try to positively reinforce your kids and be like, "I don't want to hear that." And you're like, "I don't." But if this causes a complex, is this causing a complex in me or in you? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my son's doing the same thing right now. He's got this thing where if we're having a conversation, my wife and I, and he's in the room and he's trying to like either play with his toys or read a book or something, he'll go, "Stop, please." And it's like, what?
Are you guys talking?
Yeah. He's like, "Come on, stop, please." But he says, please. He says it properly. He's like, and it's just like, it's like, obviously, a little kid should be telling adults to stop talking, but he's also saying, please. It's just like we taught him, if you need things, ask for it. Say, here's a correct word to use when you are trying to be polite and you're asking for things. So it's just like, well, good job there, but also like, buddy,
context.
We got to talk,
Yeah. My wife and I text a surprisingly amount when we're in the same room together, because it seems like the second I'm like, "Hey, did you hear about?" And then all 3 kids are like, "Hey, mommy." And I'm like, "What? I was just going to ask if she heard about that it's going to rain tomorrow." It's like just casual small talk. Yeah.
There's times when it's just like, oh my gosh, he's playing by himself. It's quiet. It's calm. And like, let's not break that atmosphere, let's go to another room at least,
That's right. Justin, what's Ada been doing lately? Has she had any ridiculous moments like that?
Well, going back to the shyness part, with Josh, we have Ada in like a karate class in daycare. It's every Monday. It's for like 45 minutes, and it's basically about balancing and how to like actually use your hands and feet and everything like that. So it's not like anything intense. And not this past Monday, but the Monday before, we had her quote board ceremony and belt ceremony. She was the only kid out of everybody else to not wear the robe or whatever you want to do, and she did not participate at all in that board and robe ceremony. She sat the entire time, and every time the instructor said, "Hey, Ada, you want to come up and do it?" She'd like, "No," and she would just sit there. So, but the instructor and all the teachers say like she absolutely loves doing it when like parents aren't there and we aren't there to watch her.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, we're like, all right, well, we'll keep doing it, I guess, and we just will like dress up as different people the next time and see if
Shave
that
your
works.
beard. Justin,
Yeah.
shave your beard next time. Just show up.
Yeah. Just put a wig on and stay in the
Man.
back.
And then look at the other parents and be like, I promise I'm her father. This isn't
Yeah.
weird.
You don't see
I'm
the
not some
resemblance?
creep.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was a little bit embarrassing. Like, and I was just like, baby, come on. And she's like, no.
Nope. Not doing it.
And all the other parents were like, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
So it felt a little better after that. But yeah, I was just like, it figures my kid's the only one not participating
Not
in
going to
this.
do it. Justin, Dana and I were talking before about beards. Have you had your beard grow out so far, Justin, that one of your kids like grabs onto it and it becomes a problem?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've shaved it down, but I had it a little bit longer during the winter time.
Okay.
And Briar is my now 5-month old.
Is he 5 months old? Yeah.
Yeah, 5 months old. He would just grab it, especially when I'm trying to like put him down, like
Yeah. Like put him
or
down to
something like
sleep
that.
and you just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Takes your face with him.
So I'm just going, okay, buddy. But she'll do that with, or he'll do that with Haley's hair as well, because she usually has it down. She doesn't have it in like a ponytail or anything like that, and he'll just grab it and.
I was telling Devin for about 10 years, I had a pretty decently long beard. It was, between like a foot and a half off my chin.
That's a beard.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
gnarly.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was kind of a pain in the ass, like having super long hair or something. You always got to like keep it combed and maintained and out of the way. But as soon as we were in the last like month of pregnancy, I was just like, kind of looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, this beard is going to be right in my kid's face. Like when I'm like trying to hold him or like, like put him on my chest, or anything like that. It's like, it's just going to have a face full of beard.
Yeah.
So that was the first time in like, 10 years, I shaved it off, and it was very surreal looking at myself in the mirror.
Like completely shaved it off?
Well,
Or
I
do you
mean, like
think
I
it's
had
worse
something,
that, like,
I don't think
Yeah.
I've been clean shaven, for, I don't know, man, over 25 years or something like that. Ever since I could grow one, even in like high school, before I could even do the mustache, I had like the Abraham Lincoln chin, and I don't know. I just like, it's funny to look at people, that you see a picture of them with a beard and you see them without the beard, and you're just like, I would say like on average, realistically, like 75% of dudes look better with facial hair. And I don't know if that's just like me being biased towards having facial hair,
Yes.
but I'll see, even like celebrity or something like that. I'm like, damn, that's a glow up with that beard.
Yeah.
Like you're
Stephen
rocking that.
Krell, man, he got that salt and pepper beard and it's like, oh, okay, Stephen
No
Krell,
joke.
got it. All right,
Yep,
yeah.
no joke. And I think that's just because like, we're not all blessed with a great chin or like, beautiful chiseled features. And so some people just, get a little bit more out of their face when they've got a little bit more on there to look at.
I had a friend who had a beard for like a decade. Then he went clean shaven one day and he was like, I found a second chin. It was under there this whole time. I had no idea.
Just hiding.
Just hiding.
Didn't know my lip was so tiny.
Yeah.
Right?
I have 0 lips. I have little bird lip.
Yeah, basically.
I would never, and my wife, I don't think would ever want me to shave.
It'd be traumatizing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100% for everyone involved.
Yeah.
What have I done?
Yeah. This was right before our wedding, and I was just trimming it. and like I had one of those little spasms where like I went like that and just so I
Yeah.
had like a little streak right here, and I was like, all right, I'll just trim it all to where it is, and it was like almost like a 5 o'clock shadow type. And I come walking out of the bathroom, and Haley just has this look of disgust, like, who who are
What
you?
did you do?
She's like,
What did you
don't,
do in there?
no,
I
I don't like
married
this.
that. Had I known,
Had I
Yeah.
known?
is that what our kids are going to look like?
Dan, I want to make sure to ask you about like how you maintain your world whenever you're on tour. Like, how do you stay connected to your son and your wife while you're out and about? Now that you have a kid, what feels different about touring now that you have a child at home?
Yeah, great question. Something I ask myself constantly.
Yeah.
For me, it's a lot of just, I talk to people whose dads either worked a lot,
Mhm.
9 to 5 style, come home at the end of the day exhausted, not a lot of interaction, or people whose dads spend, like 8 months on the road or 8 months, in countries working and things like
Yeah.
that. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't really remember their parents being gone when they are gone. They remember the times when they're home and like the memories that you make when you are together. So for me, it's a lot of it is just like being present when I am home
Mhm.
and making those memories. And just like, it's really easy to, if you're coming home from a long day to just like want to just shut it off. And like
Mhm.
traditionally the dad always comes home, takes off his suit and sits in front of the TV with a beer or whatever, And for me, when my wife and I decided to have a child, it was a conscious 50-50% decision. Like, I'm half of this decision. I'm half responsible for this child. And even though right now she works, she's a stay at home mom because, this is a whole different conversation, but like it just became unrealistic for two people to work because one of them is essentially just paying for childcare.
Yep. I'm a
Um,
stay-at-home parent for that reason. So
yeah,
yeah, no, I
it's just like, I
completely
mean,
understand that conversation.
why
Yeah.
bust your ass just to not be able to spend time with your kid?
Pay a second mortgage for someone else to watch your kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this season, my wife is staying at home and I'm working and she's got him all day. As you know, it's like realistically, it's harder than most jobs
Mhm.
because you are on the entire time. Like
Mhm.
at some jobs, you can take breaks, you can take lunch breaks, you can just
Yeah.
zone out, you can be on your phone, you can whatever. And unless you sit your kid in front of a TV all day, you're on. It's like there's no taking breaks. There's no rarely you get to sit down. And so when I get home from working or a tour, I'm kind of like jumping back into this moving carousel that kept moving when I jumped off of it. And
Mhm.
so even if like a week or, a weekend goes by, like, oh, he's not eating this anymore. Like for some reason, he's just refusing this thing he used to love to eat, but now he wants to eat this. And so a lot of it's just like, okay, what's new? What's happening? How can I be present? How can I just kind of jump back on to this carousel and be caught up to speed? So when I come home, I don't expect my wife to keep being on 24/7 with the kid and me get to relax. It's just like, you've had him the whole time. And my job is amazing. Like I get to go travel the world. I get to go, play a show every night and I get to hang out with friends and we get to have drinks and great food and great cities. And so, half the time I'm working maybe when I'm gone. The other half I'm just in kind of a single person, not a single person, but a person without a kid almost, someone with less responsibility. So when I come home, it's just like, okay, how can I give you a break and me be a present father, So like, it's all about just like immediately just being with him and listening to him and trying to like not be on my phone and like listen to him and talk and learn about what he's doing and what he wants to do. And yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of it is just trying to just be in the room with him,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because if you're a touring musician, your job realistically, I mean, you do sound check, but then your job like doesn't start usually until like 8 or 9 p.m. at night. And that's just a very different flow of like, I wake up at 6:30 with the kids and they don't, I mean, the older ones sometimes don't fall asleep until 9 p.m. So like, that's a long shift where like, all right, 9 p.m., you might be getting ready to go on and play like an hour and a half long set.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny too, because, like with technology now lets us FaceTime way more. And
Yeah.
he realizes now what he's doing when he's on the phone with me. Like that is dad right now. That's not a video dad. I'm talking to him. We can talk back and forth. He can answer my questions. But when you're on tour, unless you have like an off day and you're in your hotel room, you are almost 24 hours surrounded by people. Like you don't really get a lot of quiet time to like go talk on the phone or like, there's like a room in the venue that's not occupied with someone, so
Yeah,
like
of
it's hard
course.
to have a conversation with your child or your wife when there's not someone listening to it,
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of just have to find our times to communicate and still interact and like be as present as I can over FaceTime, or over the phone, or send little videos to him or get videos from him.
Do you mostly do you do much studio work, or is your world mostly touring musician right now?
It's hard to do both.
Yeah.
Because when you're touring full time, you can't answer calls. You can't, book sessions when it's like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm not home for another month, and so
Yeah.
they're just going to get another guy who's sitting there waiting and willing to jump in the next day or whatever. I do keep it busy enough, and there's a few guys that I reach out to. I'm like, hey, I'm home for the next few weeks. If you need stuff, start sending my way, or I can come in and do a session, which is great. I also play with like a number of other Nashville artists that I can kind of fill in my schedule with weekends with them, or sessions and stuff. And I do love session work, but I mean, there's like 5 dudes in town who absolutely kill it and live here full time and always get the first calls. And I'm not passionate enough about studio work to like try to weasel my way in there and start getting those gigs, or establishing myself as a full-time studio musician. Even though on paper it's like, you're gonna be home more, it definitely makes more sense. But even financially, like touring is usually more lucrative, because you're just like you're every day you're getting paid, and it's like 2 months at a time, 2 months with a paycheck every single day. Not a paycheck, but like like your hours clocked in every single day, essentially.
Versus like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go I'm gonna go do 2 days of sessions, and then maybe next week I can get more sessions, as opposed to like, all right, the next 2 months you can, with the tour, you can kind of guarantee your income because you can see how many shows you're supposed to play.
Right. And sessions are 3-hour blocks usually.
Yeah.
And I would have to do like at least probably like 6 hours of session work to equal what I would make on a day on tour, and it's kind of hard to be booked 6 hours every day of the week, a lot of hustling. And I'm 38. I don't got it in me anymore. I don't
It is
hustle,
funny,
man.
right?
Yeah.
I'll turn 38 this year. Justin turned 40 last year. And it is funny, you get to like this age and you're like, yeah, someone younger than me is probably much more excited to do that than I am.
Yeah.
Dude, the amount of energy that you used to have as a kid, as a younger adult compared to now, it is
Very real.
so different.
Yeah.
So different.
It ain't there.
Do you play on didn't you play on like the new A Day to Remember album? Is that right?
Yeah. I did some tracks on that.
Sweet.
They are super old touring buddies of mine.
Oh, cool.
Their guitar player and I, probably like my second or third tour ever was with his first band. So he's one of my oldest touring buddies. His name's Kevin Scaff. And he joined A Day to Remember in, I don't know, maybe like late 2000s, 2010 or something like that. And has been with them ever since. And he lives in Nashville now. And he's got a studio, and he had called me about this tour they were doing, where they were doing like acoustic reimaginings of all their songs. And they're a metal band. So like,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
it was like a pretty big task to like go in and sit down and like, Americanize this metal discography,
Yeah.
So they brought in some Nashville guys, and they asked me to play the bass for it. And so we did a month or so of this tour. And when it came time for the new record, I don't even remember how it came about. Maybe Kevin and I were just talking, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to try tracking some bass on it?" And I was like, "Yes, sure." Yeah, we went to a studio and did like 5 or 6 songs, and they have such a unique. I think this goes maybe for a lot of metal bands specifically these days, but like with technology, no one really has to be in the same room anymore. So more or less comes down to compiling all the different demos and guitar tracks and like who played this best. And like sometimes they would just use like the guitar line from a demo and like, that sounds good already. We don't need to like retrack it, so let's just like drop that in and reamp it through all our studio gear so it sounds good. And so, yeah, we did like 5 or 6 tracks, and then like, I don't know how many ended up officially making the record or, in what capacity, but I'm credited as being on the record. So that's cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Yeah, we had on we're good friends with the Wild Feathers, if you're familiar with that band.
Mm-hmm.
And Brett, their like lead guitarist guy, would say about that for last album, which like he would do a pass of like a guitar part or something like that. And they'd be like, cool, we got it. And he's like, which one? Like which pass are you gonna use? He's like, we'll figure it out later.
Yeah,
So like he like goes home, then listens to the final mix. He's like, I like how it sounds. I just literally had no idea which track you were gonna use or which pass you were gonna use until it happened.
Yeah, literally. And the way Nashville, records too, it's just like, man, everyone's a hitter. So like they only need 1 or 2 takes.
Yep.
And it's just like the whole band plays the song once, and then maybe like one guy's like, I'm cool, I don't need to redo it. And then maybe just the drummer needs to redo it. And then while the acoustic guitar player is doing his second pass, the drummer adds in percussion, and then like you quickly listen through and punch in every little mistake. But like a song an hour is how these guys do it now. And
it's insane.
It used to be like you spend a week on a song. And like perfect it and get it perfect. But man, it's just like the way Nashville runs now is just like a factory line, man. It's just like churning them out, which is cool. If you got the dudes who are professional enough to handle the job and what they do in 1 or 2 takes is great.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you, move on and save time and money for the artist?
Yeah, Ricky from the Wild Feathers, I don't know if it was on the podcast when he was telling me, but he was talking about when they were recording with Shooter Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
And Shooter was like, all right, cool. That sounds good. And he was like, wait a minute, what? Like, are you sure?
Yeah.
You don't want me to play it again? I mean, I'll play it again. And Shooter's like, no, man, it's good. I guess they can just tweak it so much.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technology now allows for that. I remember, my first real professional record I ever did was at Sound City Studios in California. And that's like where they like Nirvana recorded Nevermind, and they did Rumors there, and Rage Against the Machine's first record, Tom Petty, all his records were there. So I walk into this place and just like, oh my God, I'm 20 from Alaska. Yeah. My first real studio experience was like in the greatest. It was in the greatest studio that's ever been.
Yes.
And probably ever will be. And it's literally been downhill from there as far as like studio vibe and like the quality of records that were made there. But, even in 2006, like we didn't use a lot of vocal tuning. We didn't use a lot of like correction on timing and stuff. So like the producer was like, you play it right, and it doesn't matter how many times you have to try to do it. Like, so it's just like, I kind of like trial by fire in my first recording experience. So like now when it's just like, you literally get 2 passes and it's just like, close enough. We'll drag some things around in Pro Tools and fix it. We'll tune that part. That sounds a little out. It's just like, I guess. I mean, if the tech is there to make your life easier and we don't have to spend hours on this part,
Yep.
all the better, I guess.
Yep. I will say RCA Studio A is the other studio that I think rivals that studio, just because that's where like Dave Cobb has posted up and all those albums that he's done there.
Yeah. I'm sure there are some studios that are, rival or are better than Sound City, but man,
but if you're going for like cultural impact, Sound City, like
and that Neve console was still in there at the time. This was like pre Dave Grohl buying it and moving it out, and so I didn't know anything about it. I just walked in and I was like, oh, there is a lot of platinum records on this wall. A lot of people I've heard of.
Yes. So how we end every episode is we ask every guest 5 questions, and whenever Justin is ready with the first question.
All right. Did you have any backup names for your son?
Oh yeah. We had a lot. It's funny because when we found out we were pregnant, we were just like, we didn't know what the sex was going to be as. So we were like, okay, let's start thinking of names. And ever since I can remember us talking about having a kid in the future and what their names are going to be, we knew that we wanted a specific name for a girl. And it was Indiana Lee. And my wife's middle name is Lee. Her mom's middle name is Lee. So we always knew it was going to be Lee, Leigh. And we just loved the name Indiana for a girl. Like it was after Indiana Jones originally was the idea, but we could call her Indy So it'd be Indy Lee, and we're just like, that is the perfect name. Like, and we never thought of anyone better, any name better than that. But then we found out we were having a boy, and we had like 7 names, 7, 8 names. And like, honestly, we could have landed on any of them and been fine. But we named him Styles with a Y, Styles, because we were watching a Coachella live stream and Harry Styles was playing. And a friend was like, you should name him Styles. And we're like, that's funny. And we're like, oh, wait, that's a great name.
That works.
Yeah. And just like my wife,
Funny how that works.
My middle name is John, and that was my dad's middle name and his dad's middle name. So it was always going to be John. So like we had an anchor, this solid middle name. And so it was Styles John. But we thought Bodie was a name I loved after Patrick Swayze's character on Point Break.
Oh, nice.
And we loved, the craziest one we had was Zeppelin, because we both love Led Zeppelin, and like Zeppelin Poppin would just be such a
so cool,
insane name. Like he's
so cool.
Yeah. We liked Harrison because of Harrison Ford. We're big Star Wars fans. So yeah, we Bear. Randomly, we thought of the name Bear.
That was one of our backup names.
Yeah. Like Bear John Poppin. Like that sounds awesome too. It's like, so yeah, I don't know. For some reason, it was just way easier for us to think of a girl's name than a boy's name.
Yeah. Well, I think girls' names, I have 2 daughters and a son. Girls' names I feel like are cute and quaint and like everything. Boys' names I feel like you either go a little quirky or very traditional. Like those are your options. Like that's about it.
Yeah, and we had the traditional middle name already, so it's like, well, sky's the limit for that first name.
Let's do it.
His last name is Poppin, so like he's already gonna have a unit.
So hold on. So you're DJ Poppin. We can call you DJ Poppin.
DJP. Yeah, that's been a joke. If I'm ever an actual DJ, I'm going to be a DJ.
I mean,
DJ
your name is already there. So I'm sorry. I know you've probably heard that joke a million times.
It's fine. Yeah, it's like it's a viable second career path. And I've already got the name. So
that's it. Whenever because there's all the people now do like emo nights and stuff like that. You can be like, no, it's DJ Poppin at emo night. So
yeah,
there you go.
DJ Poppin.
DJ Poppin.
Yeah.
Anyway, as someone from Indiana would have been a cool name for a daughter. So
and we're still holding on to it. Maybe we'll have a girl one day, or
If you have a daughter and you don't name her Indiana, just make sure to tell the story to us so we can follow up on that.
Sure enough.
There you go.
Yeah, it's on record now. So if anyone steals it, it's like
no, you know where that came from.
Thought of that.
That's right. Next question: do you have a favorite TV dad?
I would say. Currently, like with what's on TV today, I don't think you can do much better than Bandit Healer.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
It's just like that show is 50% made for parents, and so the writing for the parents on that show and what they have to go through and how they handle it is just like so informative and like kind of sets the bar. And so I don't think they even like older TV. I don't think they've really made a better dad than Bandit.
Yeah.
But as far as like growing up watching TV, Uncle Phil, he's not a dad technically, but he's the father figure.
Father figure. Yeah.
He was amazing. Carl Winslow from Family Matters.
Yeah.
Having to keep his level head when dealing with Steve Urkel was always, respectable.
It was.
All right. Next question. Go to replacement curse word.
Well, it's funny. When we were thinking of boys' names, we were thinking of like, what are some names that are terrible? And like, what would be like the last thing we would want to call them? And the name Bingley we thought of,
Bingley?
because there's a character, I can't remember if it's Pride and Prejudice or another movie that my wife had seen. And Mr. Bingley was like the name of one of the characters. And we were like, oh God, can you imagine a little Bingley? And so we always told ourselves, like, if Styles is being like a little shithead or something like that, we can't say he's being a shithead. So we're going to say he's being a little Bingley, like really living up to his name right
being
now.
Being the worst kid possible.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Classic Bingley. So that's probably the one we use most often, I would say.
All right, then let's start using that for our kids as well. And then we can blow it up.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Bingley does sound like he would have had been born wearing a tuxedo. Is kind of what that name.
Yeah, he's just this little smarmy little a-hole kid who just like
born with a trust fund, even though you don't have one. That's just how it works out.
No one likes a trust fund.
He would talk like that.
Yes, only out of the nose.
Naturally.
Born with a monocle and a tuxedo.
Mm-hmm.
Next question: do you have a favorite kids' toy or activity, or like what's one of your favorite things to do with Styles?
We have this thing called a Tony's box. It's just like a little square box that you can put different figures on that you can buy, and it plays music. Like it's like the theme song from like, a TV show or whatever. So you buy like, we have a little Lightning McQueen, and we put them on there,
Cool.
and they play music from Cars, and they tell little stories about Cars.
Yeah.
The movie. Then we have like a little Snoop Dogg one, little hip hop songs about, affirmations and being the best you and all this stuff. And you can record your own songs, your own, spoken word stuff, or, download songs off the internet. And so we have like a little custom one that he puts on, and we can change it for whatever music he's into.
That's cool.
And so he just watched Trolls World Tour recently, and he got really into like the rock music on Trolls. And they do Barracuda by Heart and like Rock You Like a Hurricane and Crazy Train. And he just loved these songs. So I put them on there, and it got to a point where like anytime I'm playing guitar now, he comes up and he's like, let's rock and roll. And so he makes me play these songs on guitar, and he wants them loud. He wants them distorted. And he just like starts screaming and jumping around. And it's like,
that's so cool.
I guess like we got a little rock on our hands.
Hell
But
yeah.
yeah, that Tony's box has been really cool. And it's like super durable. He can like drop it and just grab one and switch it, and goes to the next song really easily. And it's like super intuitive. Yeah, we love it.
That's awesome. Ada has one of those, but I had no idea that you could make your own.
Yeah, they're called Creative Tonys, and they're like even like cheaper than a normal one. And you just like, it's all within the app. You just record it, whatever you want into the app, and it uploads it, and super handy.
Nice. All right, I'll have to check that out.
Nice.
All right, last question for you, Dane. Best parenting advice you have received?
I don't know if there was like a specific line of advice that I received, but I remember Dashboard Confessional was the first band I ever toured with that like one of the band members was a dad. And the lead singer Chris had 2 kids at home, and so a lot of it was just like, that was where I was able to get like firsthand experience of what it's like for a parent on tour. And just, a lot of it was just, a big thing for me is just like the phrase like being present. Like it's just like, you can be across the world and you can still be present. You can have been gone for weeks at a time and still be present when you get home. Or you can be, for average 9 to 5, you can be gone all day for work. You can come home and still be an active role in your kid's life. And so it was just like watching another person deal with it firsthand when I knew that like it was in my future was just really super helpful. The Fray is the same way. Like everyone in the band pretty much, except one guy, has kids. So life now is all about like, planning your schedule and planning tours around like opportunities to be home more often,
Yeah.
That's what's great about Nashville touring is it's just weekends now. So we can, we can be home most of the week nowadays, quick little fly dates, hop on an airplane and go do a private gig or something like that. And you can be home the next day, So not so much advice that I learned. It was just like watching it in practice in real life, and watching how the best way to handle, keeping one foot in that world and one foot in your work world at the same time.
Yeah, no, I think, I know I've talked to a lot of people where their dads did work a ton and their parents' mentality was more like, I guess I'm not there. And I feel like our generation is more like, all right, I am physically where I am, wherever I am. What do I do to communicate to you that I love you and I care about you?
Yeah.
Because we've all known parents who that wasn't a priority to them. So like to have people in your life where like, oh, these people are prioritizing, this is their job, but it's not their world, to some extent. And how do I still communicate love and presence to my child or partner whenever I'm not going to see them for like a week?
Right. And, we all made a conscious decision to have this child. And a parent, it's not a selfish line of work. I mean, you got to really give a lot and give up a lot of yourself. And so big thing for me coming into it was just like, I'm not going to be that, like, we see couples or we see families where just like, the one person in the family will almost practice like weaponized incompetence. It's just like, I don't know how to like make his food. I don't know how to change him. Like, I don't know what he likes. So like, you can handle that. And I'll just like, I'll be over here. And so like, it's like, that's not really how it works anymore. Like, you are half of this. You made the decision. So it's your responsibility too. And so like, I don't ever want to like my wife to be like, well, I can't leave the house because Dane doesn't know like what his bedtime routine or whatever. Or Dane doesn't know what he likes to eat anymore, how to keep him entertained. So, and it's the same vice versa, like she respects that I have to go out and leave the house and go to work. And it's just all about balance.
It is. Other thing is just self-promotion. So like if we want to follow you on Instagram, who are you touring with, all that stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, the Fray has been like the one band that has been keeping me most busy. Like we have like a solid year of work coming up. A new record is in the works. And so, yeah, my Instagram is just my name, Dane Poppin, and that's usually where all the updates come from. But it's the 20th anniversary of the Fray's first record. And that one had some like big hits on it. So we're doing a bunch of touring and across the world, really. That's kind of celebrating that record. So, probably playing most of those songs and kind of just like a tribute show to that, and probably like a greatest hits set afterwards and all that stuff. But yeah, the Fray, I play with this artist, Caroline Jones, a lot. She's a solo artist. She also plays in Zach Brown Band.
Oh, cool.
So in between stuff with Zach, she does her shows, and she's a uber talented artist, the sweetest person in the world. So stuff with her. This artist, Jesse James Decker, I play with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's great. She's the sweetest, but like, she's also like, she's got books. She writes, they have a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And they do TV shows and interviews.
Married a former NFL player, you know, stuff like that.
She did Dancing with the Stars. She's doing
Yeah.
book tour. She owns Kittenish here in Nashville and other places. So like, she's got a lot going on too. So a lot of it's just like trying to find the balance of like, who's playing shows when and can I make it happen? And so, the Fray is probably where you're going to find me in 2025.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Thanks for working us in between tour dates and everything to do an episode.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Gladly. And we'll be in touch, and we'll see you next time, Dane.
All right, boys.
Cool.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the episode.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at The Imperfect Dads Podcast.
And make sure to subscribe and rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to us.
The music is provided by the Wildfeathers.
And all episodes are produced and edited by me.
Make sure to tune in Mondays for new episodes.